Blah, 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 blah. Certified Yapper. Welcome to the Certified Yapper podcast. I'm your Certified Yapper, Ellie Kate Grant, and today we'll be talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and how it has impacted or will impact the entertainment industry. This is especially prevalent after the Oscars, which for me was literally just a couple nights ago, and how many of the nominees at the Oscars used AI in their performances, in their production. So I think it's like super important. AI is not new, but its role has grown, especially in the entertainment industry, and it has threats on many people's jobs. Artificial intelligence is the ability of a computer system to perform tasks that usually require human intelligence. One thing that's interesting about artificial intelligence is that it doesn't just pull things out of the air. It doesn't just create a script or a voice out of nothing. It literally copies things out of the public domain. Things that people have created and put out there, things that people have put hours and hours of time into, that they have put on the internet. And artificial intelligence takes all of that, compiles it, and then releases one unique thing. But in actuality, it's really just advanced plagiarism. I believe that artificial intelligence can be a tool. And I think it's important to acknowledge that it can help people in the entertainment industry. It's not all bad, but it should not be a replacement. It should be a tool. And it should assist people. I think also it shouldn't take away from the creativity of people in the entertainment industry, writers and producers and actors. I think they should still be able to do this all on their own. And I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that AI may be taking those creative opportunities away from people. Early uses of AI go back to the late 90s. Lots of movies tried to use it, but it wasn't advanced enough like it is today, and like it has been the past couple of years. Social media companies like Facebook and Twitter have used AI along with Netflix in the early 2000s for advertising and analyzing their ads. It's important to note that artificial intelligence, how we think about it in our brains, like an evil, an evil android trying to take over the world, that idea originated in 1927 with the silent movie Metropolis, which was the first sci-fi movie ever, and inspired movies like The Matrix. And that movie is super important because I think it originated this idea that artificial intelligence is bad, and it is important because it has established this idea in our brains that artificial intelligence is going to take over the world. And I don't think it's going to, especially for the fact that it takes things from people that takes things from things that already exist. Artificial intelligence cannot exist without people creating things, creating new things. And so while I think we should be cautious of artificial intelligence, like movies like Metropolis depict it as this evil thing, I don't think we have to be scared of it, at least not yet. So why are companies using AI? Why are they using this new technology that literally plagiarizes everything and sometimes isn't very creative or good? Well, that's because it's cheaper. Yeah, that's because these $1 million companies don't want to pay more people because they don't have enough money, apparently. So basically, in the entertainment industry, every time you work on something, like you write an episode or you are acting in something, you get what's called a residual check. So every time season 10, episode 12 of Supernatural gets played on the CW channel, then every actor who worked on the episode and every single writer who wrote the episode gets a little check in the mail for however much they get paid for that episode, called a residual check. Well, these media companies don't want to have to keep paying these residual checks. And if they use a AI generator to write an entire Supernatural episode, then they don't have to pay all of these people for season 10, episode 12 of Supernatural right? They don't have to pay anybody. They actually get to pocket all the money for themselves. So the media might not be great, but they're saving money, I guess. AI is used for script writing and for something called subbing and dubbing. Basically, what AI does is it can move an actor's mouth differently so then they can speak a different language. And it can also generate that different language with the actor's voice. So let's just say some girl is saying, like, I don't know, in a movie, she's like, I love cheese. Well, they can they can move her mouth in different ways. So then she's saying, I love cheese in a bunch of different languages. That allows people who speak different languages to watch the movie. But it also keeps them from having to hire other voice actors to say the lines in different languages. And I mean, not now, but maybe a year ago, these media companies didn't have to ask these actors for permission to do this. They didn't have to ask actors for permission to change their face and move their mouths in a different way, which I think is kind of suspicious. Why wouldn't you ask actors permission? Unless you know it's weird, right? But after the actor strike, which we'll talk about a little later, they have to ask for consent, which is a win. They also can use AI for deep fakes, making someone's face look like some other person's face, making people look young. So in the Mandalorian show, they have Luke Skywalker there. Well, Mark Hamill isn't getting any younger. And so they hired a guy who kind of looked like Mark Hamill already, and then they did an AI overlay of his face to make him look even more like Mark Hamill, which, don't quote me on this, but Mark Hamill did not consent to. Nobody asked Mark Hamill if they could use his face to change that guy's face to look like him, which is a little weird. Also, in another Star Wars, I think it was Rogue One, honestly, they have Princess Leia in it. Carrie Fisher died a couple of years before Rogue One came out, and they used her likeness to recreate her character. And again, I don't think they asked for permission. You can't ask Carrie Fisher if you can use her likeness on a movie. That's really weird. Can we not let the dead lie? And most recently, in the most recent Indiana Jones movie, Harrison Ford, he was in the movie, the real Harrison Ford, but they made his face look younger, which is crazy. Also, in a documentary that literally just came out that I watched maybe a week ago, the Gabby Petito doc on Netflix, they used a AI generated voice to read her journals in her voice. We don't need that. That's a little weird. They used the videos that she had posted online and like her social media to recreate her voice to read her journals, which is a little creepy. AI is also used for animated backgrounds, so then they don't have to hire animators for backgrounds on animated movies. And of course, these backgrounds are like low-key stolen because that's all AI does. So it's stealing art from artists. And then this comes down to the fact that, like, who makes the money then? If AI is generating a animated background, but nobody's actually animating the background, they're just kind of stealing backgrounds from a bunch of different things. Does anybody get money from that? Or is the AI just saving them money, even though they're literally copying something? And also, AI is learning from existing YouTube videos on how to speak. You know, there's thousands and thousands of YouTube videos, and AI is learning from those videos, from Instagram, from your TikTok, from Twitter. And so, every time you post something online, like I'm doing right now, AI can watch that video and learn how to speak, learn how to talk. like a regular person. It's also ironic that while creating this video and doing a bunch of research, I was looking for videos about AI so then I could kind of like compile a bunch of information together. And I found multiple videos about AI's impact on the environment that were made by AI. What is the point? Why are these videos made by AI? They have like an AI generated voice talking and then some little AI generated pictures. And probably an AI generated script too. Which is ironic. Why is this AI robot telling me about AI? I mean, I guess it's an expert since it literally is AI. But still, that's weird. All of this to say that AI can be used in a plethora of ways. And all of those ways take away from things that real people could do on movies and TV. Now we're going to talk about something that I kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but the use of AI in media, or the increasing use of AI, all came to a head in 2023 with the writers and actors strikes. The Writers Guild of America began striking on May 2nd of 2023. And this was 5 months after ChatGPT was released. The writers were striking for fair pay, better residual checks, and to alleviate some of their concerns about the impact of AI on their jobs. At the end of this strike, which was the second longest Writers Guild of America strike in history, they actually ended up getting a pretty good deal, in my opinion. But specifically, here's what they won AI-wise. All media companies that they work for need to disclose any material that was generated by AI. So if they're using something that the writers would probably use to help write or create their show or movie, then they need to tell the writers if it was AI. AI also cannot be a credited writer. It can't be in the credits. It can't write a significant amount of the script. And it can't rewrite material that has already been written by Writers Guild of America writers. So if a writer writes an entire script and some producer or director or media company is like, I kind of like this one scene, but I want it to be a little rewritten. ChatGPT, I'm calling on you, babe. Then they can't do that. They can't do that. And AI generated writing cannot be used as source material. So all of these like source material has to come from a writer themselves. You can't use ChatGPT to give you a couple movie ideas and then hand that to your writers, and then they're like, oh, these are some great ideas. Who came up with these? ChatGPT. Nope, it doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, if the writers consent to the use of AI, then media companies can use it. Which means that even though all of these protections are in place for writers, that does not mean that you're watching a movie without AI generated written content. That just means that all the writers working on the movie consented to the use of AI generated written content, which is a little fishy to me. I personally would much rather watch a movie that was creatively thought out by a group of people and put blood, sweat, and tears into than watch a movie that everyone was like, I'm fine with us using AI. And everyone's like, me too. And then they all asked ChatGPT, which, in my opinion, Chat isn't very good. Guys, Chat is not good. Chat is weird. Chat is like making up random stuff. And you're like, did I ask for this? No. So yeah, I don't really want to watch a movie that was written by Chat. And I think it's funny that media companies would rather make people watch a movie written by Chat than pay their actors and writers. Hello? Pay your writers. Anyway, so the writer's strike ended, but the actor's strike was still going on. The actor's strike was started in July, 2 months after the writer's strike began. Did I say actor's strike? Guys, this is so confusing to keep up. Writer, actor, I keep getting them confused, and I might actually lose my mind. Anyway, the actor's strike started during the writer's strike. So the writer's strike began, and then the actors ended up striking alongside the writers, and then started striking for their own strike. I know, a little confusing. But the actors' strike began in July and ended in November. The actors were also striking for better residuals and better pay, along with the writers. I think a lot of the things the actors were striking for were super similar to the writers because they all just kind of wanted the same thing. And I think also the writer's strike inspired the actor's strike to kind of fight for what they want. And by them all working together, they put more pressure onto these companies. Tons of shows and movies shut down that year. And especially as an SNL girly, it was rough. It was a rough time. Okay, I didn't get my Pete Davidson hosting SNL episode. It was really sad. One thing that actors were striking for is the needed consent to use a digital replica. Big media companies like Disney were creating these archives of digital replicas. They would scan actors' faces and then put their little scan into an archive. And then if they wanted to, they could just use it whenever they wanted without the consent of the actor. An actor's digital replica could be used in anything without their consent. A studio could make an entire movie without the consent of an actor using their digital replica and not give the actor any financial compensation for it. That's scary. That's really scary, which is why I'm so glad the actors went on strike for this because of how scary it is. Also, though, even after this strike, these media companies still have these digital replicas. They're just not allowed to use them, which is still creepy. So, after the strike, which went on for a long time, I don't think that the actors got as good as a deal as the writers did, but here's what they got. Studios can't acquire permanent access to a replica. So they can't just use this one replica they made of your face forever and ever and ever for a bunch of different movies. They must gain consent. And every time that they use the replica, they need to ask for consent first. So you can't just use Mark Hamill's digital replica in every single Star Wars film. You have to ask for his consent every time you use it. And not just that, but you have to give that actor financial compensation. So every time you use that digital replica, you need to pay them the amount that they would receive for being in that movie anyway. So then why wouldn't they just act? Like, I don't want to see a fake person. I want to see the real person. If I'm watching a movie and they just told me that Kit Connor is in the movie, I am not watching the movie for Kit Connor's digital replica. I'm watching the movie for Kit Connor. So, right, like, that is so weird. So then you're like, why wouldn't they just bring in the actors and pay them? Right? That's weird. Also, something I kind of haven't really mentioned, but the actors got an increase in the number of background actors a movie or film has to incorporate. So what was kind of happening was that these films were, instead of hiring a bunch of background actors from the guilds, they were just using AI to generate background actors. So if someone was performing in a musical, instead of hiring a bunch of actors to fill up the auditorium of the musical, they would just AI insert a bunch of fake people. Which again means they have to acquire some digital replicas of some human beings. And also, they do not look real. Sorry. There's some people with some missing toes and all that. Of course, when they did this, they had a minimum number of background actors they needed, and so they would usually have like spots where real people were in the background, but then most of it would be generative AI. But with the strike, the number of background actors each movie or TV show or whatever has to have increased. So that means that the studios can still use AI to generate background, but they need to hire more actors for the background. Even though both the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA won these agreements and kind of won their strikes, that does not mean that the fight is over. I listed a couple things that kind of are loopholes. You know, you can ask for the person's consent every time you use it. And if some actor is just like, okay, then we're all going to be watching movies with digital face replicas. And why? Personally, I do not want a movie with a digital face replica. Okay? Sorry. Sorry. That's my bad. So, the writer strikes are over and now movies use less AI, right? No. That couldn't be further from the truth. Actually, AI is back in the headlines today because of how many movies that were nominated at the Oscars used AI. Two movies we'll talk about today specifically are The Brutalist and Emilia Perez. Both who received lots of nominations, and Emilia Perez received 13 nominations and was the most nominated movie at the Oscars this year. Which, there's a lot of things I could say about Emilia Perez, but this video is about AI, so I'm not going to get into all of that. But just know that I don't think that that movie deserves as many nominations as it got. The shade is crazy. Anyway, actors in both movies won Oscars. Zoe Saldana won for Emilia Perez, Best Supporting Actress, and Adrien Brody won for The Brutalist, Best Actor. Which is ironic because they both used AI in their performances. They both used AI to alter their voices. This AI software is called Respond Feature or Respeecher, and in Emilia Perez, they used this feature to alter their dialects and also increase the vocal range of the lead, Carla Sofia Gaston's voice, who was also nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars this year, though she did not win. Adrien Brody, his voice was, they used the Respond feature to alter his Hungarian accent and enhance it, which personally, I feel like that's kind of a shot in the face to actors like Timothée Chalamet and Sebastian Stan, who work tirelessly to enhance their dialects in their movies. Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown and playing Bob Dylan, and Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice playing Donald Trump. They worked hard. Nobody used AI on their voices to enhance their dialects. And so I feel like it's kind of a bit disrespectful to those people for Adrien Brody to win the Oscar. Also, his acceptance speech was really bad, and that just made me not like him more. Like, bro, you cannot speak for 7 minutes, while other people only got 2. So, sorry about that. It's a 45-second thing. Okay? Sorry about that. Anyway, so it's frustrating when these movies use AI, and then they try to defend it. The director of The Brutalist was in an interview talked about how the actors worked really hard on these accents and for years and years and years. Well, if they worked really hard for years and years and years, why do you need to enhance their accents? Why do you need to enhance the accents if they've worked really hard? Right? Like, right? That's a little suspicious, if you ask me. Supposedly next year, the Oscars are going to be requiring films to disclose the use of AI in their movies, which I am very excited to see how that goes. and how that affects media. Because if movies have disclosed their use of AI, and then that's basically disclosing the use of AI to the public, then will they use AI less because they can't be like sneaky about it, you know? Of course, this isn't confirmed yet. The Oscars will release their refined list in their refined like requirements and everything in April, but supposedly that's what they're going to do, which I really hope they do, because currently the consumer or the viewer does not get a disclosement on every single movie that they watch about what they used AI for, or if they used AI at all. The movie companies and studios are not required to do that. They're not required to say that they used AI for this and this and this. And I feel like that we deserve to know, because we're paying money to go and see a movie. And I personally do not want to see a movie where someone can't even sing and they're only using AI to sing. Right? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I think that that's going to be really good. And I think it's also important for the Academy to incorporate the use of AI in these movies, and like how much actually the performance is that actor's own performance. So I think that will be good moving forward. Okay, so I've gone on and on and on about writers and actors and how AI is going to affect their jobs and their livelihoods, but like, why should I really care? This is the thought process of a lot of people who watch movies, right? Like, okay, they used AI to write a part of a script. I don't really care as long as I'm getting my entertainment, right? Well, I think this last point about the environmental impact of AI is why we should care. I mean, I care about people and I care about their livelihoods, and that is incredibly important to me. But also, the fact that AI is destroying our environment is truly the most important part of all of this. For one AI search to happen, your search has to go to these huge areas of data centers, acres and acres of data centers. Okay? These data centers have servers, and these servers run hot and need to be cooled down. And they cool down these servers with water. This basically drains water. One ChatGPT search is equal to pouring out a bottle of water. Just one search. Now that's one ChatGPT search. Could you imagine what writing an entire script using ChatGPT would take? Or using AI to change how the mouth moves of an entire 2-hour long film? One ChatGPT search is 10 times the energy of a Google search. And that little fact is from 2023. Well, there's way more data centers now in 2024 than there were in 2023. So just imagine that number is probably higher. As the demand for AI increases, the amount of water used to support these data centers is insane. The amount of energy that is needed from these data centers is stripping power from low-income communities and destroying our water supply, which is already at a deficit due to global warming. Now, I know it's hard for you to put yourself in the shoes of a writer or an actor, but maybe try to put yourself into the shoes of the Earth. The Earth that is literally dying already, and we're only speeding it along by absolutely destroying the water supply with AI. And I know there's a bunch of other stuff happening, and I know AI is not just the only culprit to destroying our planet. And like, I get it. I get it. The world is scary, and sometimes you don't even want to think about that. But by us limiting our use of AI, and by discouraging the use of AI in these big budget films that use up a lot of energy, then maybe we can decrease the environmental impact that AI has. So, what is the impact of AI on the entertainment industry? Well, for me personally, I think that any movie that uses AI, maybe a little bit, doesn't really matter. If a movie uses a little bit of AI, who am I to care? But that one premise, who am I to care if a movie uses a little bit of AI? Well, maybe that encourages the studios to use more AI in the next movie. Maybe that encourages the studios to use more digital replicas, or to alter more voices, or to not hire people who can actually hit the vocal range, and to use AI to enhance their vocal range. This makes these movies lack humanity. The more AI used, the less people working on a film. The more AI used, the less creative the film is. And movies are real people with real stories. I mean, there are some movies, like Amelia Perez, what a horrible film, okay? But at the same time, I mean, I think I would actually appreciate the film more if they didn't use AI, right? If Carlos Sofia Gascon, if Carlos Sofia Gascon did not use AI to enhance her vocal range, right? Movies have always been about humanity. And by incorporating AI into those movies, it's pricking out the humanity little by little. And I'm scared that the moment that AI, it's only, and I'm scared that as AI gets better, the humanity in these movies will only shrink. And as studios realize that, well, I can save a quick little buck by using AI, then the less people will be working on a film. The less people will be employed. And the more our films will be garbage. Right? I think consumers deserve better. We're paying to see films. They're trying to encourage us to go to the theater, to put more money into their pockets, right? Well, I'm not going to a theater to watch something that lacks humanity. This is why I think it is so important to limit the use of AI in films and television. I think that entertainment these days is amazing, right? Like, there's so many movies out there and TV shows that have way more representation, way more diversity, right? There are more stories being told now than ever before. But are those stories real? I sure hope so. And I don't want to watch a movie without a real story. I think that is all I have to talk about today. Make sure to check out my other videos. They're a little different than this one. This one is a little bit more serious. But if you really want to watch an entertaining episode, then maybe check out my Mr. Beast video. Right? Like, let's check that out. So maybe drop me a like, maybe subscribe, maybe share, maybe drop your social security number in the comments, right? Last four digits, anything helps, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Certified.